In this video, we're going to look at how to use the distributive principle to simplify an algebraic expression. When you have a number right in front of parentheses like this, it's telling you to multiply using the distributive principle. Another thing to be aware of is when an expression is written this way, every sign belongs to the number that it's in front of. So for example, this minus sign belongs to the 12. It means it's a negative 12. So let's go through this expression piece by piece and do the multiplying. 5 times 2x gives us 10x, and 5 times 4 gives us 20. Then we need to do negative 12 times 1, and then we need to do negative 12 times negative x, which will give us positive 12x. All we need to do now to finish it up is collect like terms. So 10x plus 12x gives us 22x, and positive 20 plus negative 12 gives us positive 8, and we've finished simplifying. This problem illustrates an idea that is often confusing for students. When you have the situation where you have a minus sign in front of a parenthesis, but there's no number attached. What this is actually telling us to do is to distribute a negative 1 over the parenthesis. The 1 is not written, but you can write it in to remind yourself what's going on. So now let's go ahead and do the problem. The 11x just stays as it is. And we have to multiply negative 1 times the 3x and negative 1 times the 7. Now when we collect like terms, 11x minus 3x gives us 8x, and we still have the minus 7. When you're simplifying a bigger, more complicated expression like this one, you still use the same basic ideas. You want to start from the innermost parenthesis and be sure to do only one thing at a time, line by line, until you've completed the solution. So the first thing we should do on this one is distribute the negative 2 over the 5 minus x. And while we're doing that step, we'll copy all the other parts but leave them alone. So there's the part that we're not fiddling with. And we're going to distribute the negative 2 over 5 minus x, which gives us negative 10 plus 2x. The next thing we should do is collect like terms within this trinomial. We want to add the 3x and the 2x to make the expression a little simpler. And again, while we do that, we'll leave the rest of the work alone. So here's the part that won't change. And we'll take our parenthesis and make it a little smaller. Now we're ready to do the outside distributing. So we're going to multiply the 2x times the x minus 5 and the 6 times the 5x minus 10. And there's no reason we can't do that step all at once. So first we'll distribute the 2x, which gives us 2x squared minus 10x, and then we'll distribute the 6. Now all that remains to do is collect like terms, which in this case means adding the negative 10x and the 30x. And our final version is 2x squared plus 20x minus 60. Sometimes instead of simplifying an expression, you need to pull it apart into its factors. It's kind of the opposite of simplifying. And it still uses the distributive principle, but in the opposite direction. Looking at the expression 10x minus 15, we need to see if there's a factor, a common factor that goes into 10x and also goes into negative 15. And there is, it's 5. So then we want to write in parentheses what's left after pulling out the 5. which in this case would be 2x minus 3. Because if you distribute the 5 over 2x minus 3, you get back to the original expression. Let's look at x squared plus 4x and see what common factor they have. In this case, it's not a number, it's the x itself. So in parentheses, we'll write the rest of what we have to multiply by to get back to our original expression, which is x plus 4 in this case. In the third example, the 3 goes into both factors, both terms, and so does the x. So the common factor we can factor out is 3x. What that will leave inside the parentheses is x minus 7. When you have a bigger factoring problem to do, like this one, it's still a good idea to begin by looking for a common factor, because if you can pull out a common factor, the rest of your work will become much easier after that. In this case, each of the 3 terms in our expression is divisible by 2. So the first thing we would want to do here is pull out the 2, leaving x squared minus 3x minus 10 on the inside. In a later video, we're going to be talking about how to factor x squared minus 3x minus 10. But for now, here's how it comes out. And the 2 stays separate out in the front.